sitting over there trying to think of a song that had Tom in it. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. Speaking of sharing, I don't know, I guess many of you know, Pat donated a kidney to his sister just 2 weeks ago. And for him to come out here and do this, I asked him, I didn't realize that was happening when I asked him, and he said no, he'd still do it. And so I thought that might affect negatively what you did here and maybe make what I had to say seem a little bit better. But once again, that's not going to happen. Thank you very much for doing that for me. At an event like this, like we said, there's a lot of thanks to be had. None of us would be here for this long without the help of a lot of people, and I'm no exception to that. I wanted to start by congratulating and thanking Janet, Wendy, and Vaughn for inspiring me for these 25 years. I'm totally impressed with Vaughn because this is the longest I've ever seen him awake in I'm in awe of your ability also to do so many things for your students and so chill all at the same time. And by the way, I did text Brendan already to tell him what you said about him and Ryan. He's uninviting you to an Alabama football game next year. I also wanted to say to Janet and Wendy, there's no other way to put it, you two are DeMatha heroes. I know we have nice young men here at DeMatha, but for a woman to teach and work in an all-male high school environment for 25 years and do it at such a high level of excellence is nothing short of amazing. Add to that the respect that these young men have for you. It's a testament to all of your excellence because we know how difficult teenage boys sometimes are difficult to impress. Congratulations on that. First and foremost, I want to thank my family. Chris, my wife, whose support has honestly made this all possible. My colleagues also owe her a lot of thanks for all the years we had young kids in school and they were home sick. She would always be the one to volunteer to stay at home with the kids, knowing that she was going to put out a lot of teachers for the subs and my students as well. I want to thank my dad for sending me to DeMatha in the first place. Not that I had a choice, not that I wanted to have a choice. And then also thanks for putting me through Maryland and the computer science degree I got so I could make a good living. And thank you not for asking that back as a refund when I started teaching. Both my brothers graduated from DeMatha. Bill is here. My brother Mark could not make it. Bill in '84 and Mark in '78. My sister Luann for coming, and also who's a Seton grad, but she also married a DeMatha guy. So apparently it is in our blood. When I talked to Dan earlier about what they say, it's not a retirement speech, and so that's going to be a little bit different. You know, you have some stories for retirement that you can say things about, the administration. What are they going to do, fire you? Not that I would have anything bad to say about Dan, especially Father James. There's no clerk out there. And I also know that Dan is going to take the mic after me, and I've learned that much never say. So Dan, thank you. And seriously, Dan, you've been an incredible mentor, a colleague, and a friend. It was your syllabus or syllabi and guidance that got me through the early years. Countless times I remember stopping you in the hall saying, I just read a story and I was about to teach it, so what do you do with that story? And in 2 minutes, you would give me the insight to get me through a 44-minute class. I also remember my initial interview with you, just like Janet, I met with you first and then met with John, and I remember all you wanted to talk about was this course I took called The Legend of Baseball in Film and Fiction. I took my final year of college. I also remember that you said, John's going to ask you if you want to do the bookstore. Say no. Ask you if you want to do your book. Say no. He's going to ask you if you want to drive a bus. Say no. And true to his word, his incredible intellect. John asked me all three things. Probably asked me some other things too, and I don't remember those, and I said no to all of them. I guess that was a precursor to the help that you gave me for the rest of the teaching. How does DeMatha teach so many people around here for 25 years, plus years? I'm trying to think about that. People ask me that all the time. Is it money? Maybe for someone. I don't know anybody in Catholic education that's in it for the money. It doesn't happen. I think it's the working environment that we have here. The four of us have been lucky enough to work for two very passionate and intelligent principals who care about DeMatha and the people that make it up. Personally, I'd like to thank John Moylan for taking a chance on a former student who had no real teaching experience. Always felt you had our backs and always would do and fight for whatever was best for DeMatha. Of course, I don't want to acknowledge you too much right now because that may you may take that as an open invitation to respond, and we're going to be here for a real long time. DeMatha is an environment where teachers are given the autonomy to teach the content, but in a way that best fits us as professionals. Content is important, but what takes equal billing are the ideals set forth by the Trinitarians. As part of this tradition that we are asked to uphold each and every day, we are encouraged to take the risk and attempt to raise the bar even higher. DeMatha is a community of students and parents who, by our design, have a shared set of values and goals. The Trinitarian charism is the foundation for that, and has always been essential establishing and maintaining that culture within the school. I'd like to thank Father James and Father Damien for being part of that during my days as a student, and now as my return for a teacher a couple of years ago. A great work environment also has involved colleagues. While at DeMatha, I had Buck Offit, John Mitchell, Father Damien, Mr. T, Bill McGregor, and Morgan Wooten, all as teachers. As models for how teaching should be done, how can I possibly go astray? And when I started, they were all still here. There were several other influential teachers early on when I started in 1991. Mary Yarish, Rich Machesky, Dan as a teacher, Neil Murphy, Pat Smith, Anna DiLuigi, Mike Hibbs, Rick Reeves, Tom Burke. The names could go on and on. Most teachers would be lucky enough to have just one of those people as a mentor and a colleague. With them as colleagues, I had no choice but to have high expectations for myself and my students. Mary and Neil, I want to thank you for putting me on the computer programming path. And yes, Mary, I still have that programming basic book on my shelf. Dan, Pat, and Mike, it was their curriculum I followed in the first years. I also used my memories of Buck's teaching and Morgan's teaching in my early years. I think I actually tried a little bit too hard because at one point I was mimicking Buck Offit's look and hook in the classroom. I picked that up. I thought that was so cool. He would stand for a bonus point, and you would bet 25 cents, and if he made it, he took the 25 cents. If you missed it, he took the 25 cents, but you got a bonus point. But he gave it all at the end of the year to send a kid to camp. I remember seeing his name, and my class was in there, and we were all excited. So I tried the same thing. For some reason, make or miss, for the next 20 minutes, the guys were all going crazy nuts, and it took me all that time to settle down. And I couldn't figure out how he pulled it off. And then I remembered that he was a real teacher, and I wasn't quite there yet. Maybe in another 25 years, I'll be able to pull it off. So working with legends and Hall of Famers can be a humbling experience. There have been several of those humbling experiences here at DeMatha. And Pat kind of said something about that's not the part, the arrogant part. You don't have a lot of chance to do that here because there's so much excellence around. I've also had the chance to coach the swim team for 26 years, and I wanted to thank Joe Raymond, who's here, and Chris Benedict for all of the time they've helped me, work with me. I think they've basically spanned my entire time of coaching. Both are not only great coaches, but great examples of men of character for our students. I learned an incredible amount from each of them over the years, and much of the success we've had, I would attribute to them. At DeMatha, we're constantly aware of the excellence through the banners and the WCAC titles. As a matter of fact, my first year coaching, we went 3-6. That was the year that Morgan won his 1,000th win. Right. And we had a celebration, and the entire school was in the gym. And I remember standing there seeing the celebration, and Dan McMahon was standing next to me, and he elbowed me and he says, "Hey, Tom, in 335 years, that can be you." I've dropped the number a little bit. Thanks for those uplifting words, Dan. And a couple of years later, and Pat alluded to this, 1996, we had our first undefeated season while I was coaching. Pat Smith and I celebrated the occasion as most faculty would do on an occasion like that on a school day. I put on swim cap, goggles, and fins, lay on my stomach on an overhead cart, and he pushed me down the hall at full speed during the change of classes. Students had a look of amusement and total befuddlement, which is actually not unusual for my classroom as it is. I can't remember the conversation we had that led to us doing that, but it must have been interesting. And as Vaughn said, my son, I had two sons go here. My first son was a little bit more quiet. I had him the entire school year as a freshman. I think he said 2 words to me, and he didn't want to speak up, but I kind of know if I did something wrong, he would let me know. My second son, first day, driving him home from school, I asked him how was his day, and he turns to me and said, "Dad, you're not funny." That's how you stay humble. So, but having my boys attend DeMatha gave me a different perspective of what we do. Faculty held my sons accountable, and at the same time, were caring without really holding their hands. I wanted them to grow up, and they gave them the opportunity to do that. They're not only better students, but better people from having been with the people here. And several years ago, we held a post-graduation party gathering at my house, and we did that for several years in a row. And my wife, Chris, commented the other day how she remembers that the conversations were always very spirited. And we were honestly talking about DeMatha and teaching, and what rubbed her the most was the compassion and the passion that the faculty had for DeMatha. And that was back in the early days when I had kids playing t-ball, and we'd start at noon right after graduation in my house, and I would go to t-ball at 6 o'clock and then come back, and there were still faculty members sitting in my backyard. And even if I had gotten wise and cut the rations in half the next year, I think they still would have been there. People ask, what it is that keeps us at DeMatha, and everybody's been congratulating us, and I don't know how to take that because it doesn't really feel like it's an accomplishment. It feels like something that I almost feel guilty for it because each day I come to a place of work where people care deeply about the important work they do. They do it with humor and intelligence, and they strive for excellence. And what's not to like about that working environment? Thank you.